You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Albert and Jonesy in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cantina Cast. My name is Albert Padilla, and this is a special episode that we are premiering tonight live at, 10 p.m. Central. Because if you're not keeping up with current Star Wars events, the trailer for Season 3 of The Mandalorian just launched, or just dropped, I should say, in the Dallas Cowboys game, who are winning, which I think is just a bonus. I mean, this has been a great night all around. So, but yeah, there's quite a bit to discuss, and we're going to just kind of go frame by frame like we do and speculate. And, you know, it would be completely reckless of us to really go any further than that, but that's why we're here. So with us is Jonesy. Jonesy, how you doing tonight?
Doing well, man. Usually by now we're just now hitting our stride with the show. So this is a
right, the in hour two.
Yeah, this is interesting. Yeah.
And we warned you that she would be back on the show with a regular basis. No, it's our third member of the show, Lauren. Lauren, how you doing tonight?
Good. I'm excited to talk about this trailer.
Okay, so just to be clear, or I guess let's. How many times have you guys had a chance to watch a trailer? Lauren, how many times so far?
I've watched it a bunch. I've pretty much had it on a loop.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
We'll quiz you a little bit later. What about you, Jonesy?
Yeah, probably 5 or 6 times, I think.
Okay. And like I said, it's been, I don't even know, like maybe an hour since this thing came out.
Yeah, it's been about an hour, something like a little over an hour.
I've seen it maybe 4 or 5 times in my car as I was driving home, and then raced up here to get started on the show. So don't feel 100% prepared, but there are some pretty good things in here, and I've already got some crazy whack theories about some stuff that I know Jonesy will shoot down here later. But
that's why I'm here.
That's why you're here. All right. So first impressions, Jonesy, what did you think watching this trailer?
Loved it. I think it's hitting all the right vibes. I mean, we know we're going to go back to Mandalore, but you know, to get I had you in my head the entire time, actually, Albert.
Oh, well, thank you. That's very sweet of you.
You know, we're getting all the tribes together. We're going to lead, you know, we're going, you know, even though it's for a personal quest, the idea that they're questioning who they are, or that Din Djarin is questioning collectively who they are, what they stand for, what they believe in. What is the future of to be a Mandalorian? And those are really cool themes to explore. So I'm really excited about that. And I mean, a lot of the imagery throughout of it we'll talk about tonight, but just a really good, top to bottom, really good trailer, I think.
Lauren, what about you? Come on, Baby in the Bubble.
Yes, we did get Baby in the Bubble.
Baby in the Bubble.
We got a great shot of Baby in the Bubble.
We did.
Well, in addition to what Jonesy said too, I'm looking forward to, we might finally find out who saved Grogu. So that's kind of my main thing that I'm excited to find out about this season.
I have a slightly different take on what that could be, though.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll have to have it out.
Jonesy, do you have your tinfoil hat back there by chance?
Always.
Okay. Yeah. Just get that ready in case, when that time comes. There we go. All right. He's already putting it on. Not necessary. Okay. So, and for me, I would say, yeah, I think it delivered on everything we would expect. I was hoping it'd be like in the 2-minute mark, and it didn't really land there. So that's okay. And there was a lot of shots of the baby in hyperspace, which I love personally, but I was like, oh, come on, give me more like nuggets and things that I can really dig my mind and brain and thoughts into. But
you mean like Jedi, or him using the Force at the end?
Yeah. I'd like to see more of that if I could.
Okay.
I think that was the only thing I responded back to you guys when I texted you. I said Jedi. That was it, because that's what stood out for me more than anything else. But more on that later. Okay. So I'm going to pull up the trailer. We'll kind of follow along. I'm going to have to turn the audio off because we'll get dinged by YouTube and Lucasfilm and everybody else. And I just don't want to challenge a copyright infringement. So I'm going to bring it up. We'll kind of follow along here. And it opens up with the Mando talking about our people are scattered like stars in the galaxy. And right away, kind of what you were talking about. And to be fair, to take our victory lap, we've been talking about this since season 1, like early on in season 1. I was really pushing that this is where I wanted the series to go. I wanted Din Djarin to really unite all the clans. And I'm going to show you one thing that stuck out to me. If you're a Rebels fan, you will recognize right there, that symbol is Clan Eldar. And Clan Eldar is one of the Mandalorian clans that was shown in Rebels when when Sabine took the Darksaber there and all the clans kind of came together. They announced themselves as Clan Eldar. So there are other clans other than the ones that we've seen so far, at least in The Mandalorian.
Yeah, for the Rebels fans to get an Easter egg like that and to be thrown out there right away, it's got to feel pretty good to work the animation into the live action is always a lot of fun.
So, okay, so let's just kind of pull the Band-Aid off, and Dale's he's talking about it too. Pull the Band-Aid off. I mean, I don't want to get too excited too fast, but is this really what the season's going to be about? Or do you think this is something that would fall in, maybe the first part we get a lot of these shots and they're kind of, first half of the season, first 4 or 5 episodes, although Obi-Wan, it felt like we got a lot more, but nonetheless, do you think this is going to really be the focus? I mean, uniting the clans, or is it really more about his personal journey and, repenting for his transgressions?
I think early on it'll probably take that the latter. It'd be more about Din Djarin and Grogu and trying to explore. But I kind of think that this might be from the second half of the season. That this might be the actual bringing the clans together and this message getting across to all of them. They're having to band together in order to do something. And with all the Imperial ships we see later on, I think there's a lot of ways you can you could probably pull that through and make sense of that. And so I like that idea, though, that we're pulling them all together second half of the season, though, not necessarily right away. Because I don't think that makes sense. I mean, he has to go find them, and he has to have something that's going to be able to compel them all to group together in a common enemy as well. And so is that a Moff Gideon or something like that? Those are the things that we haven't quite got any clarity around.
I'm looking at this, and I'm just wondering, you guys have any thoughts as to where this is at? I don't know that it's Mandalore.
It's got to be Tatooine. Everything's on Tatooine.
It could be Tatooine. God, I hope it's not Tatooine. But any thoughts as far as, I mean, this could be him making the rounds, right? And pulling, and we know the Mandalorians have been scattered, right? They're scattered away from Mandalore. They're on some of the planets around there, some of the moons. They've gone, who knows how far they've gone at this point.
Could that be Navarro that they're on? Because I know later on in the trailer, it looks like there's quite a few of them there.
That's what I was thinking as well, yeah.
It does look kind of like that same rocky atmosphere.
Right, the red rocks makes me think of Navarro, yeah.
It's also interesting, too, is these Mandalorians don't have Beskar. Like, at least they don't have the shiny Beskar. I mean, I guess it could be painted, but they look very similar to where Mando was at the beginning of season 1. So this would reinforce the idea that they're kind of making do with what they can since the Empire has gone and scooped up all the Beskar and use that. Do you think that's Mandal, or do you think that is Beskar?
I think it's Beskar. I think maybe they don't have an armor, or maybe they don't have the armor that can, craft the armor like they've been able to keep it up and do new pieces of gear, I think, as well. So I think that might be an aspect of it. But I think, yeah, it very much speaks to just the nomadic nature of where they're at right now, and that they're scattered and they don't have all of the tools. They don't necessarily have all the organization, and they certainly don't have all of the numbers that they're used to having. I mean, clearly this guy's got his antenna bent, so times are really tough for some of these folks.
That's true. They do kind of look worse for wear. And they look very, if you've ever played like an RPG, like MMO, and you start off and you just get kind of this hodgepodge mixture of different armor sets and colors, and you look like a hobo half the time until you make it later on in the game. It's similar to what they're at now. They do have different styles too. Like the visors are very different here on those guys.
Yeah, I'd like that they're integrating some of those, the night owls kind of look, that vibe.
As I say, very night owlish looking.
Very, I mean, but even unique to that one too. Just the shapes of the eyes are not always consistent. They're a little bit different. I like that.
Representative of, again, different clans, different groups of Mandalores. Okay. So we get a lot of baby in the bubble here. Lots of cool shots.
This is where we get the dialogue, though, right?
Yeah, he's kind of like, I got a question. So who's he talking to? So he says, the first line again, our people are scattered like stars in the galaxy. What are we? What do we stand for? Jonesy, do you have any thoughts or any kind of theories as to who he's talking about in that moment? Is it Grogu? Is it a continuation of the, learning? It's more than just learning how to fight. It's how to navigate the galaxy. Is that an extension of that, or is this? Who's the audience here is really the question.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it'd be best fit for the Mandalorians as a group, or as these smaller units as they come together and trying to pull them together and actually give them a cause to fight for. And more so than Grogu. I think what he's talking a little bit later, though, with Grogu, I think makes a lot more sense, right? About what it means to be a Mandalorian. And it's more than just learning to fight. It's about navigating the galaxy. But I think this one's probably more directed towards another clan or multiple clans.
I think so.
I almost wonder, okay, this might sound a little out there. I almost wonder if he was talking to Bo-Katan when he was saying that, because in the teaser, they were having a conversation kind of about, she's kind of accusing him of how his clan like ended up fracturing the Mandalorians. And so I almost wonder if this is like a part of that conversation. I don't know. It felt like it might fit.
I think it fits within the context, right? If he's challenging her, like if for whatever reason she's okay to just kind of sit back. I mean, I know she's not. I don't want to take anything away from her, but if she is kind of feeling like this, oh, I really can't do anything. It's out of my hands. This is all kind of a lost cause. I'm just really kind of serving myself here. And he's trying to reinstill this ideal of what a Mandalorian is. I think that makes perfect sense in the context if he's speaking to somebody like Bo-Katan, because she does seem like her body posture in that trailer, and we didn't get any Bo-Katan in this trailer that I saw anyways. I could be wrong, but we didn't get her in this one. That's fine.
Right.
But in the body posture, her body language, I guess in one of the other trailers, she does look like she's kind of,
Very
sitting on a
defeated.
throne,
Yeah.
very defeated, right? And he's trying to say, look, get off your butt and let's do this. Let's bring everybody back together. Who are we, right? Trying to just give her a pep talk, if you will. So I like that idea that it could be her. Yeah, I mean, this is just eye candy for anybody that's a fan of the baby.
Like you.
Watching him travel through hyperspace, like me, yeah. He's sitting like in Daddy's lap here, right? And I think later on, I'm trying to see, can we see R5D4? It doesn't look like he's back there.
No, that's still got the bubble on there.
It does have the bubble. Okay. No, good point. I was trying to think if maybe they threw R5D4 in there, then maybe he's riding shotgun with Dad in front. But yeah, good point. So good catch on that. Okay, so there they are traveling. He is. This is where he is talking about, being a Mandalorian is learning just not how to fight, but you also have to know how to navigate the galaxy. And for me, again, probably reading too much into it, I think he, at face value, literally he's talking about navigating the galaxy and making friends. That way, you've got people to kind of back you up when these sorts of things happen. I do wonder if that is kind of a conversation he's having with Grogu, though.
Yeah, there's a certain. I think
Yeah, go
so.
ahead.
I think there's a certain connection though that you need to make with other folks. But I do like the idea though that it's still, it still speaks to Legends a little bit of how that the nomadic culture of how they had to be able to have the flexibility to go to other planets and to move on, and as a tribe move on. And if they did disperse to work or whatever, they always knew how to come back together. And so
Yeah.
I like that you still get those undertones from what we learned 20, 30 years ago in Star Wars Legends, and Favreau and company are still bringing some of those, at least those threads through to a more current, version of The Mandalorian.
Oh, by the way, so Qui-Gon Jinn is agreeing with you. He said he's talking to Bo. He's agreeing with you, Lauren. Classic trailer deception, which we get a lot of in Star Wars. This is Navarro, I would assume.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, you can see the archway. Yeah.
Yep. Still looking pretty good. Yeah, and this is similar to the stuff that we got from the teaser trailer. So a lot of the same settings. We got the monkeys in the trees, the infamous forearm shake that's happening. Okay, so I think this is him entering the atmosphere of Mandalore.
And there you got R5 in the back.
Yeah. And I wonder, it's curious as to why he decided to take R5, if that was, for navigation purposes.
I would presume
Having an
so.
astromech droid.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
Maybe there's some added value there. So that's them going in. It's very simple. It conjures up memories of Dagobah.
Yeah, quite a bit. All the rain and the storm, and
Yeah, not being able to visually see.
I like the shot on the very front of the ship though. And you just see all the water coming off of it, like towards, like, and still being able to look in the cockpit. That's a really nice shot.
That one right there.
Yeah, that one right there.
Yep. He's got the big engine there, the V8.
He's got the Hemi.
The Hemi. Okay, so that's them coming in. I'm just trying to think where we're at here. He says, that way you'll never be lost. And this leads into the next line, which is, I'm going to Mandalore so that I may be forgiven for my transgressions. Now, we heard this. This was already talked about in Book of Boba Fett, right? We kind of foresaw that coming. And there's him going, what? We're going back? And that to me looks like the capital.
Y'all think he's actually going? I mean, we've had the armor in the teaser as well. Does it seem like he's actually going back and talking with her? Or are y'all still on board with that? Like, Lauren, is this changed any for you? Or was this was just a throwaway scene? Or do you think we're actually going to have more conversation between them?
I think he probably goes back and talks to her because it sounds like he's serious about trying to make it right. And so I think he might need some more details on what exactly that entails.
My only concern with it was that she had turned her back on him, so I didn't know if she would take another meeting at this point, unless it was after he had found something out about Mandalore and he was coming back to tell her, maybe. So
I don't know. She seemed like she did seem like she was very much like, "Oh, you're done, get out of here," kind of thing. But at the same time, she kind of gave him an out. Like she kind of explained to him, "Here's what you're going to have to do now," right? So I don't know that she was really done with him. I think she probably felt like this is an impossible mission, and so I'll tell him, how to do it. But the likelihood that he would able to kind of carry through with that, given the conditions of Mandalore, are slim to none, right?
Right.
So I would agree. I think he probably does come back and let her know, look, I meant what I said. I'm going to do what's right. This is the way, that whole thing. And this would be a good way for her to like, wow, he's really going there. Maybe this is what brings her to Mandalore, right? Again, in my own headcanon, at some point they all come together, whether he's actually soliciting and bringing them in one by one, saying we need to regroup and we need to take back our planet, or they're just following him because they know there's something going on, and Din Djarin is leading these kinds of efforts.
Just gonna agree with you. And when he's getting everyone together, I could see him going to the armorer as kind of like a starting place of this is what I'm doing, and like I need some people. Do you know anyone?
Right. We need you and the other guy, because that's all that's left of the watch, right? At this point.
Well, so that's a good question, though. Is where do you think?
Well, true.
Where do you think Din Djarin's finding the people? Is it through the armor? Is it through maybe a Bo-Katan? Do you think Bo has maintained any kind of relations, or do you think she's been basically ostracized from the Mandalorians as well, not just the armorer's perspective, but everybody's?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if so. I'm going to go to the chat because Dale threw this in here. He said Navarro going there for repairs and communication. I mean, could he leverage? Could he leverage some of the contacts there in Navarro or some of the other planets? I guess I'm trying to think where else. But Grief Karga, I don't know. Maybe he has connections at this point, and he's able to kind of say, "Oh, there's Mandalorians in these particular sectors," or we've seen him on these planets. I don't know where he would get that. That's a very good question. But as far as we know, he doesn't have a whole lot of contacts as of late. But we don't know what he was doing again prior to this. He ran a lot of bounties, so maybe he does have people that he can go reach out to. It seems like a lot of exposition to show on screen, so I think we're just going to have to zip through it. But I don't know. That's my thoughts. Lauren's got the answer. What do you think, Lauren? I'm kidding. So I think we talked about this in the breakdown of the teaser, but this is there's no question in my mind at this point. This seems like a little bit clearer. I don't know what it is. If it's just the angle or they held. Remember in the teaser they showed this shot, but they cut so quickly we didn't really get to see it kind of come into focus as clearly as we do now.
Right.
And this looks like Sundari to me, and Sundari being the capital of Mandalore. We saw it in Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah, the dome is completely gone. Yeah.
I mean, it's obliterated.
Right.
Right. So I have a lot of questions as to what could have done this, because the Mandalorians had a lot of like air to ground shields and protection. Right. So whatever the Empire used, I have and I think we had even talked about, again, not to leverage Rebels or lean on Rebels too much, but we knew that Sabine was kind of part of this group that was creating these, I don't know what you would call them, but
I mean, super weapons to an extent.
Super weapons. Thank you. Yeah. And we got to see what the results of that were firsthand in Star Wars Rebels. But I mean, this seems like a weapon of some sort that's on a higher level. Maybe it's like an early prototype of, the, not the Death Star. The dang, what do you call it? In the sequel trilogy.
Oh yeah, the super weapon that's on the front of the ships.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the name that they had though. Right, that tech that they were using.
No, I can't. It was like miniaturized Death Star tech is basically what they called it.
Are you talking about the battering? They called it like a battering ram cannon or something.
That was one from Last Jedi, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, when they broke the door open, and I feel like I remember them saying miniature Death Star tech about that cannon.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be something at that level, right? I mean, I don't.
Yeah, but I mean, Dale again, have a feeling we'll see Night of a Thousand Tears. I think we'll probably get some flashbacks to some of that, because we definitely got more flashbacks in the trailer. But we have to remember they had tons of bombers bombing this thing. Shields.
True, we saw that that in that quick scene.
Shields do give out at some point, and they just bombed the living hell out of this thing and just completely annihilated it. So that this would be the Empire making a point and just going overkill on it. Doesn't really, I mean, it kind of fits. It seems like that might be what it is rather than, but I do like the idea though of some other type of orbital bombardment or a very early specialized prototype of a weapon, but it seems like it seems like the Empire doesn't have that kind of capability right now. Like because we're still 5-ish, 6-ish years after Return of the Jedi, so it seems like they don't have any kind of organization to have a weapon of that kind of that magnitude or anything like that.
Nice. Yeah, ram cannons. Thank you. I'll take Star Wars weapons for 1,000, please. So this is so either way, like, man, they really hit this thing hard. So why? Like, I mean, I get like the Mandalorians were certainly one of the bigger threats, even if they were dormant, right? The potential of the Mandalorians coming to power and rising up against the Empire. That if I was the Emperor, I'd certainly want to kind of quell that threat as quickly as possible. But do you think there's any other reason why outside of just kind of eliminating all your opponents?
I think they were particularly angry. I mean, kind of like with Alderaan, where it was kind of personal on a certain level too. I feel like with Mandalore, it had to have been the same.
The years of pent up rage and finally getting their shot at just wiping them out and being done with them.
Yeah.
I can see that. I mean, they have been like kind of the cockroaches of the galaxy for a number of years.
Yeah, I mean, again, you look at threats, right? And at the time, you're out there eliminating all threats that you can find. And if you have any kind of organization to Mandalore, that's a substantial threat, and you don't have the pacifism that you had with Satine. What you're left with are all of the clans warring, or all the clans, and if they're unified, they are a considerable threat to what you have in the galaxy. And they will just destabilize anyway, even if you just say, well, they're just all bounty hunters. Let's just throw that out there as an assumption. That still destabilizes the galaxy and disrupts law and order, or at least controllable law and order. We saw this in some of the comic books with Crimson Reign, with the Hutts and them kind of warring and going to war during the Empire Strikes Back era. And it just creates a bunch of noise and stuff. And the Emperor's just like, no, stop it, knock it off. This isn't for my favor. And you're just doing it for yourself, so stop it. And he just put a squash on it. And I mean, not to this extent, but something similar. So it seems consistent at the very least.
Right. Let's move on here. This is where we get our shot of R5D4. I mean, wow, talk about a life. Again, another character in Star Wars that just seems to be resurrected out of nowhere, thanks to Dave Filoni or Dave Favreau. But I mean, he got a bone thrown at him from a certain point of view novelizations or stories, right? But now we're getting him and then was like, okay, it's a cute cameo. He's now with Peli Motto. That makes sense. They're both on Tatooine. But like, he's in action now. They're like sticking him in this ship, and he's going to be like, the hero navigating his way, allegedly or apparently, or out to Mandalore. But what a great character.
I'm happy for him.
I am too. How can you not like R5D4? And he's so in like tune with the Force, right? Jonesy's rolling his eyes.
I hope he blows another motivator.
Well, that's what the story was,
or
that's what it was about.
I know. I hope he does it again. Just so he doesn't have to go to battle just because he's going to wimp out again.
Bad motivators. Okay, so real question. So, and it's funny that Peli Motto's yelling, "May the Force be with you," which I thought was kind of cool and sweet. But is he on loan, or is he just now acquired an astromech droid and R5D4 is now part of the tribe?
I think he's on loan.
On loan?
Yeah.
Okay. I have I didn't get a chance to post it. I was going to post something on Twitter that said something borrowed, something, or something old, something used, something borrowed, something blue. And I had screenshots for all four of those. And the borrowed is a picture of R5D4. So spoiler alert, that's coming on my Twitter page. But I would agree. I think he's being borrowed. It would be cool if he does become part of the clan. I just don't know. Where's the baby now?
In his lap.
Yeah, he's
in his lap?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure we're all in agreement and we're all right here, because I can't see him being left behind.
They left him as collateral. Yeah.
No, he won't leave that baby behind. Back. That won't. Yeah.
You don't leave the baby.
He won't leave the baby behind. Do y'all think that Pelly's boyfriend is going to be there too? Do you think we're going to see him?
Lauren. No. No, he's not.
I couldn't resist.
Which one?
The new one.
She's got a Jawa in every port.
Her upgrade. Domo? No, her upgrade, Major Domo.
Oh, Major Domo, that guy? No.
1,000 apologies.
Yeah. It would be cute if they were, they had their arms around each other, waving goodbye. May the Force be with you.
Yeah, they just photoshopped him out here, but he's really there.
Right, yeah. They're really keeping that under wraps.
He's just not in the frame, yeah.
That's right. That would.
So, do you think he shows up though? I think he might, honestly.
As much as they love Easter eggs, who knows, man?
I would be surprised if we actually saw him, because that seems like that would be a little much. Even though I love them, I do think it would be a little much. But I mean, I wouldn't be mad if we saw him.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't overdo it. I mean, I don't want to get, them waking up in the morning and she's rolling out of bed or anything like that. But
We
I
didn't
think
need
it
the
would
visual,
be-
man. We didn't need the visual.
I didn't. I was just saying, like, I'd be okay if, he's around and, doing chores or making dinner or something like that. Right. As, showing that little connection that they had.
I have
Andor
a
did
feeling
kind of
it'll be.
start that. So that's who you would have to blame if we got that shot.
Who?
I said Andor did kind of start that whole view of things. So if we saw
Exactly.
that, you'd have to blame Andor.
Wow, look at the number of viewers just went up. So we got to keep talking about it. Okay, so then we get this the fireworks scene. I don't remember what we speculated the fireworks were about. Is that like a Navarro thing that's happening?
I think that's Navarro. Yeah, I was
Okay.
looking at the landscape of the city, and it does look like Navarro. So presuming just some sort of celebration they've got.
Celebration of some sort.
Yeah, times are good out there, man.
Or maybe it's been a year, and it's been a year of like independence since Grief Karga's taken over and things are prosperous, and they just happen to see it. I do hope they hold on this shot a lot. I really like visually watching him flying through the fireworks. There was a scene in the first Wonder Woman movie, if you remember that, where it was very similar, and you could see the reflection of the fireworks going off and all that. But yeah, it's cool stuff. And then there, here he is punching it.
Yeah, Grogu gets to punch it.
He gets to punch it. Yep. And they get thrown back there in the seat. All right.
I was not expecting.
Coruscant.
Coruscant.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting Coruscant, nor was I expecting this guy here.
Yeah, Pershing.
Yep. So, I mean, I guess we kind of figured he would be continue. I mean, we all assumed, and I think they made it clear that he would be continuing on in some capacity, in some way, in this series. The fact that he seems like, okay, is he on his own, or do you think he's like still being held or a prisoner, or I guess captive in some way? This droid, by the way, looks like another droid that they show a little bit later. So I don't know how those two are related. But is he on his free will? Has he switched over, I guess, if you would call it, to the side of everybody else, like the good guys now, or is he still, secretly trying to get back to the Empire? Who wants to take that one?
I could see him knowing that what he's doing is wrong, but not having the backbone to actually do anything about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like he's being chauffeured around, so I presume he's still under the guidance of the New Republic here.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a feeling that this is probably going to tie in a little bit to what we see from, oh gosh, what's the X-wing pilot's name? The officer. He's like in the trailer. He's talking about, there's things going on. I have a feeling it's all going to be related to all of this. That Pershing is going to be sharing with them. Like, look, there's more afoot here with what they were doing with the experiments with Grogu and with force sensitive people or high midichlorian counts or whatever it might be. I think that's going to all be tied together about how they're actually finally uncovering a bit of this mystery that might become the First Order.
Mm-hmm.
So we might actually get that storyline to come back around. It's been a while since we've thought about that one, so it's kind of nice that one might have some legs again.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're all connected. At least this particular thread. I mean, the stuff that's going on Mandalore is Mandalore, and I don't know that those streams will cross per se, but I think, and this could be, again, not to keep bringing this up because we really haven't gotten anything since it was first announced, but they were talking about this kind of major television event, right, that they were going to be working up towards.
Right.
It looks like, and then, of course, with Galaxy's New Rangers and the Gina Carano stuff, all of that kind of fell, I think, through a big wrench in the project. So they still may be picking up these threads, or at least some of the threads that were part of Rangers of the New Republic or whatever this major event was. Nonetheless, I think the fact that Pershing is still around does speak to the fact that we are going to get into cloning the midichlorian counts, I should say, why they need Grogu's blood. Is it for, the Snoke clones, or to create force-sensitive clones for a host for Palpatine's body? I think all of that is probably, secondary or in terms of storyline. I think we're still going to get all of that. And it could be separate, and maybe it comes together at some point. I don't know how they get there, honestly. They seem like they're on two completely different paths. But for them to continue to carry that.
2 words.
Yeah.
Snokino Loy.
No, I was waiting for that.
Oh my gosh. I've got some theories that I just will not let go. That is one you will not let go, and I love it. So
I'm glad
kudos
I
to
make you
you.
proud.
Yeah, exactly. Kino Loy, but I would agree. He does
Snowkino.
not. He looks like his hands. Like he doesn't look like he's just kind of having an evening stroll through the city of Coruscant.
Right.
It looks like he's being held captive or against his will.
Well, he's definitely being ushered from point A to point B, I think, at the very least.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So this is where the line's uttered of there's some dangerous things happening out there, and by the time it becomes big enough for you to act, it'll be too late. Okay, is he talking about the First Order? Is there something else that we don't know about? This is, to me, was probably the most intriguing part of the trailer. But you guys have
It
any
really
thoughts there?
took a different turn, I think, with this. I mean, it was very focused on Mandalore and everything else, and then all of a sudden we take this shift and we bring it back to the larger galaxy, which I thought was really kind of a nice touch to finally bring in those other storylines that, again, maybe didn't resonate as much at the time, but they've been sowing those seeds. And I mean, clearly they have because they keep coming back to it. But I like the idea that the First Order is still imminent, right? It's still going to happen at some point. Palpatine's plans and his contingency are all in effect, and they're just at some point we don't really have a clear idea about. But I like the idea, and I like that Pershing is that connected tissue to it as well, and that they're finally getting some pieces, but it's still elusive. It's still something that's not going to. They're still not going to put the pieces together until he's absolutely correct. They don't do it until it's too late, effectively. So I like that they're still bringing that line forward, and I hope that we. Right now, it feels like a lot. Then I mean, if we're going to get 8 chapters, I think, something like that, probably. It feels like this season's really going to move.
Yeah. Yep. And he's still got the Rebel, by the way. So he still has his Rebel insignia on there.
Right.
Carson, is it Carson Tarva?
Yes, that sounds right.
I think is his name in this. So he's part of. I mean, he seems like he's got a lot of roles responsive. Like he just keeps popping up, and I get.
Miss Sunflower
Teva
says Carson Teva.
Okay, what did I say? Tiva?
Tarva. Yes, it was close.
Okay, whatever. That's fine.
We'll
Miss Sunflower, you win.
I
appreciate it. Thank you for.
Okay.
I know. Thank you. She corrected me. But yeah, and she says, by the way, is that the Gauntlet or is it a Fang fighter? This is a little bit later. I think she's talking about that we see. Yeah, I mean, the fact that the New Republic is involved, it says a lot too.
Right.
Like it's of the threat is so high that the main power is involved in some way, right? So yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot of good thoughts just yet, but I am curious more to how this plays out. How do they kind of connect this into the previous storylines, and then what does this say for a lot of the television series going forward? Are they really is this really gonna be the focus of things? Because I would like to see where they go with this. The Rancor patch. I didn't catch that. Qui-Gon Jinn just said that. Okay, so let's see. And then we get this scene very shortly here.
This was pretty cool.
Yeah. So does this not look like the Pre-Vizsla? Is it Pre-Vizsla? Yeah, the Pre-Vizsla helmet.
I don't know how you would tell one from the other, Albert, to be honest with you. It looks like a Mandalorian helmet.
I know. It's probably wishful thinking on my part, but yeah, I mean, it does look like, it looks like an old helmet, right? And it looks like he could be in those caverns as part of the whatever it is, the redemption,
his atonement,
cleansing, repentance for his transgressions. And maybe this is the part of the trials. And this is a Mandalorian that didn't make it, and he's coming across his armor there.
I like that idea. I like it that he's going through the ruins and that we're starting to see, again, just the remnants of what the Empire did, and he's just uncovering it. But it's also a bit of an archaeology type of experience for him too.
Mm-hmm.
It's this different lens on the culture that he didn't have, and a certain aspect of this really dark day and dark time in their history that Din Djarin may not have didn't have total clarity around what happened. Or at least it didn't resonate with him or really mean as much to him until he can actually go out there and experience it and live it. And he's seeing what the effects of it all are and about what again, it's another tie to what does it mean to be Mandalorian and trying to recapture some of that mystique and intrigue, right, that goes along with it and give back. It's kind of like giving the Mandalorians back their swagger a little bit too, and being able just to give them something that they can rally around. And sometimes pain and defeat, while they've all felt it already, any kind of glimpse of opportunity or future that he can uncover goes a really, really long way beyond the use of the dark saber.
Right. Yeah, and you mentioned that too. We didn't get to see the darksaber in this trailer, but Tar Vizsla is who I was thinking of, not Pre Vizsla, but Tar Vizsla, right?
Right.
But I'm with you. I think it's more either this is him rummaging through the ruins of a post-imperial assault on Mandalore, or this is somebody who didn't make the trials, because I mean they're kind of putting the caves, which I'm assuming these are the caves, prior to this particular shot. So.
And again, this might be back when in the teaser we had Bo-Katan also with Grogu, saying, "Hey, do you think your dad was the only Mandalorian?"
Right.
So on and so forth. So it might all be part of that general sequence.
Yeah. Okay. Lauren, you said it first, but we've got Jedi, which for me was like the highlight of this because I like Jedi. But all right, what are your thoughts on what are we seeing here?
I think that the Jedi are guarding Grogu and somebody's coming in to try to get Grogu. And whoever's coming in, it could be clones or it could be Vader. That's what I think.
Oh, wouldn't that be cool? Get an Anakin Skywalker.
I'm trying to see Vader in literally everything, so take that with a grain of salt. But
let's see, Jonesy.
I think
that's
that
one.
That's an important distinction because it still looks like Anakin, but yeah, clearly Darth Vader, right?
Yeah.
No, I agree with her. I think this is very much a continuation of the scene that we had with the flashback when Luke is giving Grogu an insight into his history and his past. And so I think this is a continuation of that. It looks like they're retreating. So again, I think it is more clones, but if Anakin made an appearance here as Vader, I think this would you talk about blowing the doors off this series. I mean, you get Luke Skywalker with the green lightsaber kicking ass, and then you also get dark Anakin, storming the castle basically and attack, trying to go after Grogu. And now, granted, I don't know if he's actually going after Grogu or not, but again, just that we have another last stand happening for the Jedi, and we get another glimpse into what happened in the temple during Order 66 is pretty. I think it's pretty important. I think it's really important for Grogu's story too, of understanding how did he get out of the temple? Because this is, I mean, just the few flashbacks we've had have been really dire for him.
Yeah.
I mean, and clearly very traumatic, like it has been for everybody, including like Reva and whatnot. But that's another one, is Reva kind of make a little Easter egg appearance here.
Very true. Okay, so here I've got a couple things. Number one, if this is a flashback to Order 66, the question that comes to mind immediately for me is whether or not whoever's coming through this door knows that Grogu's there, right? At this time, the only people that I would think know who Grogu is or would have any kind of inclination as to what he is or potential that he has or all that would be somebody like Palpatine. Like I don't know who else would be kind of busting through the doors looking specifically for Grogu, right? So I think that's a very different story. Either he sends Anakin, which I love. I think that would, I mean, the internet would just shut it down at that point, right? If Anakin shows up in this scene, so Anakin as Darth Vader or Lord Vader, or Palpatine himself coming through that door looking for Grogu, because I don't know that anybody else would know who he is. What's more likely is that they're just going through, right, systematically and killing everybody, and these guys are just protecting Grogu. I get that as well. So I think it's probably Order 66, especially since the scene that we get just before that, the little flash, we get Grogu's face here, and you can kind of
see the lightsaber. Really, I think those are lightsabers in his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Think so?
Yeah.
Okay. The other place that my mind went when I saw this is, what if we get a retelling of the Tar Vizsla scene, or the Jedi going back to get the Darksaber, right? Or I'm sorry, the other way around. The Mandalorians, because remember, the Jedi took it from the Mandalorians at some point and it sat with them, and they went back and recovered it. And so maybe this is where you can put the tinfoil hat on now if you want. But maybe this is, all right, hold on, we'll give him a second here to get it on. And there it is. Okay,
go.
So maybe this is them coming through, the Mandalorians coming through the Jedi Temple. This is way back, right? A long time ago. And they're coming to retrieve the Darksaber. So maybe it's part of that tale, or they're giving us more context or more historical views and scenes as far as the history of the Darksaber itself.
I like where your head's at, but no.
All right, from that we'll move on. Just a little bit here. Nonetheless, I mean, it's exciting. Like I'm glad they put that in the trailer because
it's an interesting idea, though, Albert. I mean, I don't mean to just poo-poo.
No, I know you. I know.
But it is a fun idea that we would get flashbacks to an older Republic, whenever that timeline officially was. But again, I think within the context, seems pretty safe, like it's going to fit in with Grogu. But that would be a really pleasant surprise, and quite honestly, you could probably die happy if that happened.
I would die even happier if the person standing right here was my girl Avar Chris, who's on my shirt. I'm just kidding. That's not a girl. That's a guy.
Yeah.
Looks like, I don't know, but wouldn't Avar Chris? Let's talk about that for a second. No, I'm kidding. Let's move on. All right, so here comes the dogfight. We've got TIE interceptors. We've got TIE fighters.
Of all things in this trailer, this was one of the most surprising thing to me, that they actually had really pretty good looking TIE interceptors still in operation.
Yeah, in operation.
Yeah. And I think this is the question that Miss Sunflower may have had, if this was a gauntlet fighter or a fang fighter. I think it's a gauntlet.
I can't tell, if you ask me. You can see it right there, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely see it. I think pretty sure it's a gauntlet.
Yeah. So the gauntlets being the ships that the Mandalorians fly in.
Right. Now the question is whether or not Din Djarin's the one actually flying it or not.
No, I would expect this to be somebody like Bo-Katan or Night Owls or any one of the other clans, really. But where is this at? Like, where is the Empire chasing down one of these? And what led to this?
You kind of wonder if it's another part of Mandalore. Maybe.
Yeah, could be.
That's a lot of water.
Oh wait, hold on. I want to go to the chat. Look at this one. Zachary Whitfield, Darth Bane or Revan is coming for Grogu. I hope so. Sorry, you throw the old Republic in here, you're gonna get your comments on screen. I'm telling you right now. So yeah, I would expect it's somebody else. Honestly, I like the fact that they didn't just send a TIE fighter, right? I mean, There's a whole group of these things after them. And the TIE fighter, the interceptors, really their big mark is the speed. Right. They are at least to my memory, they are the fastest ship that the Imperials have.
Right. Yep.
But very cool shot. What happened there? Did they knock over some of the? Did they shoot the rocks?
Yeah, they shot into the rocks. Yeah. On the
okay. Yeah. Well, see, and then we get this shot very quickly here. We cut to
they cut to Din Djarin like in the cockpit with obviously stuff going on around him, but that's clearly the Razor Wing.
Yeah, that's the Razor Wing as we've christened it. I don't know if that's really what it's called yet.
But it looks like the cockpit's not on.
Oh,
you notice that?
Maybe the camera's inside the cockpit.
I mean, you'd see the glass, though, I would think.
Maybe he's got it detailed. You don't know.
He just got it detailed.
So
he's got a bottle of Windex in there, and Grogu
just cleans it all up.
He's sleeping. He's telling Grogu to go clean the windows, and Grogu's sitting there hitting the button instead.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, get your kids doing chores as soon as possible. It'll pay off in the long run. Okay, so he looks over. We see that. More surprise from Grogu. And see, and then they cut back over to it. So I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe he is flying one of these things, which I think would be awesome because, that's the ship that they fly in. Razor Blade, Razor Wing, N1 Razor Wing.
We'll accept all of the above.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys remember the droid Grota, or what is it? Not Grota. What do they call those? There's a group of I'm trying to remember the name. They use it in Mandalorian season 2. It's it's another name for the head of a person. I'll look it up in a second here. But in Last Shot and the Han Solo comic, there's a couple of things where they kind of mentioned that there was a group of droids that were kind of living on their own. I'm trying to think of the dang name now. But when I saw this, let me fast forward here. Let me play this. So this looks like some kind of
you even got B1
all
battle
droids are welcome.
You got B1 battle droids in there too.
Yep,
several of them. And if you look in the back, it's the droid from Jabba's palace.
Yeah, they're all in here. You've got some R2 units. No, it's not Daimo. I'll look that up. But I guess while I'm doing that, Jonesy, any thoughts as to what the heck's going on here?
Is this Baba Frick's place? I mean, maybe this is just his den. He just surrounds himself with droids, and he's got his own little bar. But maybe, I don't know. This was really now. If Din Djarin can walk into this place and not get uncomfortable, he's really made a lot of progress.
He's
I think.
come a long way, right? Yep. It's the Gatra. Thank you, Qui-Gon Jinn. Yeah, so there is a droid Gatra that exists in this timeline during this time, and they've got like a leader who's a droid, and they've got all these, they've got a whole community planet. I forget what it was, but they're all. It kind of all ties back to L337 in some regards. But when I just saw all these droids together, just kind of hanging out, and there's no humans around, it's kind of like they're doing their own thing. I wonder if they're really gonna kind of show us that, or you're probably right though. Maybe this is just some kind of safe haven that the Babu Fricks of the universe have kind of put together for droids to not feel ostracized, as we saw in episode 4. Norm, what do you think?
Yeah, I could see this place being like droids only. No sentience or
They
no
don't serve their
organics
kind.
allowed.
What if we got that what if we got that line as an inverse, right? When he's trying to come in, he's like, or I don't know who he'd be talking to, maybe R4 or R5, R5D4s, like, you're humans, they gotta wait outside,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe this is R5's hangout.
Yeah, maybe it is. We've got Mandalorians launching. I'm assuming this is in some kind of a take back. We got more of this in the teaser trailer. I think we saw some better shots of this, but
Yeah, but it seems like there's a lot of. It seems like there's going to be a lot of action. Where is Babu Frick on Navarro? Have we made that determination yet? Because there's clearly a battle. Babu Frick's around. It looks like Navarro. There's Mandalorians on Navarro, or there's Mandalorians, but it all looks like it's on Navarro. Do we have any reasonable certainty that that's exactly where they're at?
no. I mean, nothing official confirmed, but I mean, I think you can make a case for it. Yeah.
And maybe we'll see it here when we get to those, because that looks like. I mean, that doesn't look like the ruins of Mandalore, right?
No, it doesn't.
So I think this might be Navarro.
That's what I think too. Because
Qui-Gon
that
Jinn
looks like
asked if we-
Navarro.
Yeah, it does, right? Because that looks like the statue got blown to bits.
Yeah.
So sorry, Grief. But again, are the Mandalorians storming it or are they rescuing it?
I think they'd be coming. I think at this point they'd be coming to rescue, right? I can't see them destroying this.
Okay, well, Lauren, let me ask you a question. Do you think there's a chance that the Mandalorians turn on one another in this season? I mean, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, clearly. But do you think there's any chance that the clans do meet up and it just doesn't go well and this is the result of that?
I think it's possible after what we saw in Book of Boba Fett with Paz trying to get the Darksaber. I think after seeing that, then I think maybe they have loyalty to each other up until a point. And if there's a disagreement on doctrine or something like that, I could see that being a point of tension for them.
And you'd like for them all to come back to this is the way. But they all have to have their breaking point at somewhere, right? And with Pre Vizsla, I can imagine that the Darksaber and it not coming back to his clan, especially if he ran into Din, that it would be.
You talking about Paz Vizsla?
Oh, Paz, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to keep them all straight.
Yeah, too many Ps.
Too many, yeah.
They need to get some a little bit of variety to their naming conventions here. Not
Right.
3 letters, not starting with a P. Oh, come on, Wordle, folks. But yeah, I mean, it would be really interesting to see Mandalorians turning on one another a little bit, though, and that you do have that dissonance between the tribes. I think that would be really great that they don't just talk tough words like we saw between Bo-Katan and company and Boba Fett, but they actually will spar and war at times against each other, and there's a lot of collateral damage in the process.
Yep. Zachary says they might be on a rescue mission from another clan. Rob says, I think this is from the Moth. Pedro Vizsla, Pat Vizsla. It's probably Pedro Vizsla. No, so in all seriousness, I do kind of like the idea that somebody like Paz is still like so disgruntled, because I would hope that the armor, as much as it seems like it'd be hard for her to get there right now, but I would like to think that the armor, as a leader, would say, no, this is the right way to go at some point, not initially, right? But at some point she gets on board with the idea of, okay, we really do need to unite. But somebody like him who's so still like taking it personal, right? So disgruntled, so feeling very entitled to the Darksaber and being, I wouldn't say humiliated, but he was bested by Din Djarin, somebody who's not pure. somebody he feels like is not worthy of wielding the Darksaber, kind of going rogue, right? Getting people together and saying, look, let's go attack Navarro because this is where he was last at. Or maybe they capture somebody like Grief Targa, and hold him hostage, or, just going off the rails and completely taking things into his own hands against the will of the armor. And I think that's probably possible. We just don't know how much it's really affected him since the Book of Boba Fett.
Right. And in the chat, Zachary Whitfield said, this is the way is different for every clan, seems like to him. I agree with that. I think we've started to see enough of that to where this is the way doesn't mean anything to some of them. It's an archaic and what were Bo-Katan's words? I don't know. It's basically like religious zealots, effectively. And then Rob came in and said he believes this is where the interceptors are too, is that they're on Navarro as well. So maybe the Empire has made some sort of push. And maybe the Mandalorians are there to help, and maybe they are being called in for aid, and they're on the quote unquote good side,
right?
But I mean, it looks like they've taken some losses there in the back, but not seeing anything except Mandalorian bodies, though.
Exactly,
so it's kind of interesting that's all we have here. There's no other. There doesn't appear to be anything else right now.
Yep. Let's see. Let's move on to the next part here, and this is where we see. This is such a quick shot here. Okay, so that's just a Mandalorian of some sort, but he's got the cable.
Right. And we got another one there. So these are thugs.
Yeah. Some of the raiders. So, I mean, it could be that this is a liberation, right? Maybe the Empire hired these folks or there's something else going on, but it does. I can see a scene where they're coming in and liberating Navarro. But there's the Anzelians or the Babu Fricks or whatever you want to call them.
Right.
And I don't know. We've not got any confirmation that Babu Frick is in this that I remember. I could be wrong on that, but I think everybody just assumed like, how do they kind of look alike. So it's hard to tell.
Wow. That's insensitive of you, Albert.
Well, they look like goldfish with like Fu Manchu mustaches, all of them. I don't know what to tell you. Call me insensitive.
And they all like to work on droids too, Albert. You going to go that far too?
Yeah. Gosh. Not to stereotype, but you guys are working on droids a lot. All right, you call this the Street Fighter 2 Hadouken move.
Hadouken!
But here's Grogu coming out, I guess learning a couple of things that he picked up from Master Skywalker there, huh?
Right, and we think this is coming out of the cave where Din Djarin and Bo-Katan were, so it's interesting he's come out alone.
Yeah, true. What is this thing, though?
I don't know.
Looks like the vulture without his wings. But I don't think that's it. But this does look like it's on Mandalore.
Right.
Right? I mean, it looks like it's all kind of, what do you call that? Obsidian, charred. Everything looks burnt, blown up in the background there. But, yeah, curious as to why he would be coming out. Lauren, what's your crazy whack theory?
Well,
is he just busy?
Well, I wonder if this is the entrance to where he has to go to atone for his sins, and so I'm wondering if he's busy doing that. Maybe he doesn't even know that this is going on.
Oh, so he's like, hey, go, this is not safe. Head back outside, wait.
Well, maybe not head back outside, but just wait here, and then he doesn't wait there.
Decides to take
because they never wait there, when someone says wait there, you don't just wait there. So maybe he's going back outside and then encounters this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just interesting. Where's Bo-Katan though? If it's all part of the same sequence, it's just interesting that he is on his own. So yeah, what's the reason for that? But I mean, clearly he's remembered some of his teachings though from Luke.
What is the green thing in his hand?
It's like some sort of comm device or tracker, maybe.
He drops it. Watch, right? It's flying.
Yeah,
he drops it. It almost looks like Jello.
This is breakfast.
looks like the 80s Hulk. Yeah, I like that one. It's Lou Ferrigno dressed as the Hulk coming out of there.
I don't know what
he's got like cankles too. Yeah, big old cankles. I don't know. I don't know what this is. It could be just some kind of creature that lives, on Mandalore in some way. But
right.
I mean, the point is, he got Grogu kind of flexing some of the stuff that he had just picked up from Luke Skywalker.
Flexing
right?
the Force.
Flexing the Force, which I think was. I mean, look at him. How pretentious is that little guy? Look at him right there.
Well, you stay in a bubble for that long. See how you feel after you get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So all good things. I'm glad to see him taking care of himself because, you know, him being the sheltered child only goes so far. At some point, he's got to stand up and do his own thing. And so we're getting to see some of that. Now, granted, he's still kind of floating around in a baby carriage, but that's fine. Whatever.
He's got
Hopefully he
small
doesn't
legs.
fall asleep right after.
Right.
That's true. That's a good point. I wonder if that was part of the training, if that he was able to kind of get past that with Luke's training, and so that he wouldn't be exhausted.
I wonder if he'll get out of the prim and actually just go snuggle up with him as he's taking a nap there.
Oh. And this show got real cute real fast.
It did.
Yep. There you go. And then we end with the title card.
And
Season 3.
scene.
And so many people thought we weren't going to ever see Grogu again, and here he is, still back.
It's kind of crazy to think that, right? That we,
Mhm.
I mean, I think myself was included in that. Of we thought we had seen the end of him, and the series would go a different direction, but no,
Not me.
nope. You had faith.
I had faith. It was a more compelling story for me personally to see this kind of lone wolf and cub story. I think we talked about that early on in season 1, and just the idea of anybody, like, what does it mean to be a Mandalore or Mandalorian, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean where you were born, where you came from. So that would include the Boba Fett's and maybe the Grogu's and other people. So more of a way, a creed, right?
Yeah.
So all that kind of plays into it. But yeah, March 1st. I mean, we still got a number of weeks before it comes out. But I think overall, mission accomplished as far as the trailer goes. It gave us some new things, some very intriguing things that I think we'll be talking about for some time. And I think there's probably going to be a lot of theories that are coming out over the next couple of days around some of this stuff. But overall, yeah, I thought they did a pretty good job of it. So I'm excited.
Yeah. So, hey, Lauren, did this pique your interest or get you re-energized or more excited than you were from the teasers, or was it a good reminder of what's coming? Like, how did you actually leave this and feel it, after watching it a handful of times?
Oh yeah, like I'm very excited. I also the thing I'm most excited about, which is I really want to know who saved Grogu. I don't know, I had almost I was so thinking about how's Mando gonna make up for the fact that he took off his helmet that I had forgotten about that whole question of who saved Grogu. So when I saw the Jedi in the trailer, I was like, oh my gosh, maybe we'll get the answer. So that made me excited.
I'm
Yeah,
almost nervous, like how that's going to play out, like who is actually going to be, because there's so many options about who could whisk him away.
Mm-hmm. I was just going to go to I know I've been trying to stay up with the comments, but they've just been flying in. DJ Tronic says, this is all leading to Mando learning his leader was wrong about the helmet, taking the Darksaber to Mandalore and becoming the Mandalore. And that's been, like, since season 1 early on, that's been where I've been at too. Yep. I really wanted that to happen. So let's see. Ben says Bo and Moff were missing from the trailers, so don't know what that means. Yeah, good point. We didn't see either one of them there.
Well, Gideon's been absent from all of them, though, right?
Yes. But we also, I mean, there's some interviews out there where he's kind of spilled the beans on what his character does in this season. So, and I don't want to get into because I think it could potentially be considered spoilers, but some of that stuff is out there. Let's see. What else do we... We always obviously subdued. I don't know if anybody gets this reference. I totally get it. We always knew the story of Grogu was Paper Moon, which is an old 80s movie, if you've ever seen that. So yeah, either way, sorry, let me go back on there. So final thoughts, Jonesy, on the trailer.
Fantastic trailer. I'm excited again. I mean, I keep forgetting we're about 6 weeks out. And usually I thought this would have picked up a little bit later, a couple more weeks from now. So this is a real pleasant surprise that they went ahead and dropped this now after just a couple weeks into the year. And man, I think this is really I think it's hitting all the notes. It's hitting all the things that we want to come back and revisit. And what I really like, though, is that they are bringing back some of the other elements that started all the way back from season 1, and that there's not going to be any necessarily loose ends. I'm with you, though, like we were talking a little bit about it earlier about, is this going to lead to the big event? Are they recalibrating to what that big event will look like? And we're going in, and this is starting to kind of reestablish the direction of where we had started, but, kind of a false start maybe with some of the changes that have gone on, with some of the people. But I'm encouraged by what we see here. And I like that we are going to get more answers, even if they lead to more questions, that's okay. But again, we're continuing to build on the overall story and build on the mythology of all of this. which I think is really important. I think that's the most exciting thing about Star Wars and about Mandalorian. We know we have this really mysterious time for them and how the clans work together. So I'm really excited that we're going to finally get all those pieces put together. And I think this does a great job of getting people, even if you're not familiar with the Mandalorian, whoever those 2 or 3 people might be, but you actually still have an idea of what you're getting into, and hopefully that's compelling for them as well.
Yeah. Lauren, what about you? Any final thoughts on the trailer? What you're looking forward to most? I mean, I know you mentioned Baby Grogu and who rescued him, but
Yeah, I'm excited about the fact that they're continuing, like what Jonesy said, they're continuing threads that they've started and building upon those. So it looks like questions that we've had, they're either going to still be questions or they'll be answered. And I'm fine with either of those options. I also hope to see Mando get over the helmet thing too. I saw someone say that in the chat, and I do want to see him kind of realize that the helmet thing needs to go. I think that would be like really important for his character. So I'm looking forward to that too.
so are you looking forward to him removing the helmet altogether, or just being more passive about it, like Bo-Katan, where if we're in a restaurant or in a cantina, we take the helmet off and it's not a big deal.
Well, I want him to still be a Mandalorian, but not be so attached to I can never take off my helmet. Like you can take
Yeah.
off your helmet and still be a Mandalorian. I'd like to see him come to terms with that.
Yeah. So yeah, basically leaning into a more flexible creed. I guess the dogma of it all, getting away from such the really hard black and white dogmatic kind of way of thinking of what a Mandalorian is.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for all the reasons we've already talked about, I mean, I'm really excited about this. The fact that we're going back to Mandalore alone, I've got a million questions as to what happened, what that looked like. I hope we get some of that in some of the flashback scenes, more than we got teased in, I guess it was season 2 of The Mandalorian. Or
Right.
was that Book of Boba Fett now? It's hard to
Yeah,
It was
well,
season 2.
they'll blend together. That's fine.
All blend together, which is probably what they wanted. But
The
yeah,
Book
I
of the
mean,
Mandalorians.
there we go. So getting to see all of that, I think is great. I'd love to see the flashbacks and really kind of understand where that goes. But I think for me, what's still in the back of my mind, and this is such a nagging question as we get closer to now into this season, it's really starting to kind of come up there, or starting to surface and bubble up for me is, okay, so assuming everything goes fine and he brings all the clans together and Mandalore is whole again, where the heck were they when in like the sequel trilogy? Like, what happened? Did the First Order snuff them out? Why did they not feel like it was their place? I mean, they could have just been like isolationists and said, sorry, that's not our problem, right? We just got our crap together and we're going to really just focus in on Mandalore. I think that's probably acceptable. But the galaxy at large was yet again in another precarious position with the First Order coming to power and knowing that they had the ability to destroy planets. I don't know at what point do they feel like they're just, it's like we've talked about so many times. You can kind of put your head in the sand, but at some point the Empire or the First Order, whoever it is going to catch up with you. So where does that, at what point do you jump into the fray?
And I think if we remember, I think what we've been told about the First Order, though, is that when we get to Force Awakens, they really hadn't been front and center for really all that long. They hadn't been in place, like they weren't like the Empire where they had 20 years of being firmly rooted and in place and doing things throughout the galaxy. They were operating so long in the shadows that only the last, I want to say it was only a few years before Force Awakens that they had really gained really public acknowledgement that they existed. So I kind of think that maybe the Mandalorians probably did have some sort of isolationism. They went and rebuilt. They did their own thing, or consequently, there's some really dark days ahead for the Mandalorians again, with the up and coming First Order, and maybe that's where they're able to cut their teeth a little bit too. But that, again, some of the canon that we already have doesn't seem to suggest any of that. So I have a feeling that this will be very much we're going to go back and rebuild ourselves, find what our culture is, and all of those good things. But again, it does feel like they would be sticking their head in the sand a little bit, and there'd be some gaps there. But we'll have to see how the season plays out to see if we get a better idea by the end of it.
Or the other option, or I guess the other theory, if you look historically at the Mandalorians, right, it has been a cycle of everybody coming together, and then we all fall apart, right? The clans go back into fighting. And so, we don't know how much the Mandalorian Din Djarin is going to be able to kind of keep them together. So over the course of the next 15, 20 years, maybe it all resurfaces again and they're back at war during that period. We just don't know a lot about what's going on with them during the First Order. But if they, I guess, that would make sense. In one of those cases, I could see where they just weren't available to help out.
Well, Albert, I think Dale's trying to take your job. Because Dale says, I think Ahsoka takes the Mandalorians into Chiss space. Maybe Skeleton Crew opens a new portal for the new threat, which starts to infiltrate the known galaxy as we approach the sequels.
Dale.
Damn it, Dale.
I know.
You made me do this for
That's
you.
That's a good
now.
one. I like that one. He was able to work in everything. He got his Chiss in there. He's got his Skeleton Crew. He's got it all figured out. So, kudos to you. We'll get you on the show if you get that right, buddy.
Yeah, well done.
All right. You guys have any final thoughts before we get out of here? We're going to wrap this up.
Great trailer. This was fun.
Yeah. Lauren, about you?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I concur.
Jonesy, do you have any shout outs?
Oh my gosh. Yes, I do.
You do?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you were keeping up with this. My goodness. That's impressive.
I do these things for all of us. So
Okay.
yeah, huge thanks to everyone that was in the chat. We had a live stream out tonight. We had about 60 people watching. So that was really awesome. Thanks everyone for coming out. Those who participated in the chat: Rob, Music Train, Emotional Evolution, Steph, Jennifer, Sky, Nase, Jonathan, Qui-Gon, Dale, obviously Subdued, Miss Sunflower, Zachary Whitfield, Spence Matthews, Ben, and DJ Tronics. If I missed anybody, my sincerest apologies, but thanks for coming out and checking us out. We hope you consider subscribing to the channel, hitting the notification. We're live twice a week. One's a Patreon show, but we stream it to everybody. But you can find all of the details over at cantinacast.com/Patreon or Patreon, cantinacast.com/YouTube. For the YouTube, that's what I meant to say. But anyway, cantinacast.com will find everything you need. But thanks everyone for coming out. Really do appreciate it. And we hope you will join us again soon when we do our Bad Batch on Thursday.
Yep. Thursday will be Bad Batch. I think Faster is the episode we'll be covering. We've also got, just want to quickly plug, we've got a new Jeditorial that's out right now by one of our Discord members, Ben, talking about the importance of Star Wars animation. So if you go out to cantinacast.com/Jeditorials, you can take a look at that one. And we've also got articles in there from our very own Lauren here. I've got one as well. And a couple other ones too. So take a look at those, read those if you can. And then, like Jonesy said, Sundays will be the Patreon show that we'll do, which we will broadcast live. So if you're not a Patreon member, feel free to jump in and contribute in the chat. And with that, if you are a Patreon member, you're going to get to see your name in these credits. So thanks everybody for joining us tonight. We'll see you guys in just a few days.
You're still listening? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.